Your Majesties, Kings and Queens, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for always returning. Trust you and yours are well and you're loving yourself and others. Like always, many thanks to all of you for the support you give to the channel. Thank you so much to our channel members, to our anonymous supporters, to all of you, my esteemed subscribers. You are all loved, celebrated, and appreciated. So I want us to talk more about Egypt today. Why Egypt is no longer Egyptian. Yeah, because I know some of you will be like, whoever is in Egypt born and bred, who have an ancestral lineage in Egypt, or who's, I know some of you be like, whoever have a lineage in Egypt or born there, bred there, their ancestors are Egyptians, that means they are automatically Egyptians. So what am I saying? There is a reason why. Now, I believe if you have been following me, it wouldn't surprise you to know that majority of people we see in Egypt today who claim to be Egyptians are not the Egyptians. Okay, I want to put it this way. Those who built the Sphinx, those who were in charge of that technology we're talking about, those who were ruling at the time where people have to come from around the world to come and study in Egypt under our ancestors, those we call our ancestors in Egypt are not those who are in Egypt today. Maybe this will explain better for you. Now, while we talk about the invasion of Egypt, of course, there's a lot, Egypt is not original anymore, because a lot of foreign interference with the lineage, with the bloodline, and it has become something else. Now, while other people were invading Egypt, they only came to steal from the resources, from the knowledge, from technological knowledge, from mathematical knowledge, from medical knowledge, and the rest. This was what other people who invaded were interested in. Now, people like the Syrians that attacked in 654 BC, the intention was to come out, oh wow, so there are people who are advanced in things like this. How do we get to steal from them? How do we get to deceive them and drag them into telling us the secrets to how they create most of the things they created? We got Persians around 550 BC, the Greeks 320 BC, the Romans before and after Christ, and the Arabs 630 to 640 that you're going to hear soon. Now, while the Arabs came, they did something different from what other peoples were doing. Right? Now, before the Arab, it's a decision. If you want to go with anybody, if anyone agrees to marry you, you marry and have children. It was happening, intermarriages was happening. But when Arabs came in, what they did was to gradually cleanse the clan, the lineage, the blood. And that's why they took over the land till today. Right? If you want to be seen as an Egyptian, a real Egyptian have to be a Muslim. Alright? And to be like, oh, they are connected to the Arabs. Before now, it's not like that now. There are other instances that you got to understand that those who are there are not the real people, because they don't even care about the treasures they have. Right? Which descendants, even in this time of ours that everything have been corrupted, which descendant will be okay to allow foreigners to come open their ancestors' graves, to desecrate their ancestors' grave in the name of archaeology? The amount of money these people are making from exposing all these things to people that they shouldn't expose this thing to, you won't believe it. They make a hell of money from what they do. Now, they don't care about the noses of these sphinxes that were broken, because of course, like the teacher we're going to listen to right now said, they are scared because when those noses are put back on, they all look melanated. They don't look Arab, they don't look the other color. So a lot of things are involved that if we keep analyzing today, we are not going to end. But I want you to listen to these and we take it up from there.
Egypt, do you go to Egypt and you said the Arab is not an Egyptian? The people who built the pyramids were not Arabs. I know, man, because I am responsible for returning to the bloody Arabs the splinters of the Sphinx's nose and chin, and the Arabs do not want to remake it because it looks Negro. But we can go into the graves. We can go into the graves and we find the hard evidence. The skeletal evidence is overwhelming. But you see, Egypt was so rich. The Africans were so extraordinary. And they were not superior people. You don't have inferior and superior people. This is what makes you superior and inferior. A certain vision of the world. A certain vision of yourself. Many of us have been destroyed. Reduced. Because we've been made to accept other people's vision of us. So bear in mind, here I am responsible. I financed a telephone link-up between Gamal Abdel Mokhtar, the Arab delegate at UNESCO, Sheikh Anthony Diop, the African delegate at UNESCO, myself, the representative of the British Museum, Garland Roberts, who found the pieces, and another gentleman who did translations from the French. And British began, no, Van Sertima, we can't do that. Because if we start returning this item and that item to this and that museum, we'll have no museum. I said, sir, we're not asking you to return everything from your museums. We're well aware of the things that have been taken from other museums and other places. This is a very specific thing. It is of no value to you. You can't show it. What is the point? You can't show the splinters of the nose. Nobody's interested in splinters. Put the nose back on. But the Arabs do that. Mokhtar, the Arab delegate, never said a bloody word. Boy, he don't want no nose interfering with the tourist trade in Egypt. It's as crude as that. Look why Egypt is no longer Egyptian. Those are not the people who built the pyramids. The Syrians attacked in 654 BC. The Persians attacked in 550 BC. The Greeks attacked in 320 BC. The Romans attacked just before and after Christ. The Arabs attacked 638 to 640 AD. That is why Egypt is no longer Egyptian. They have nothing to do with the building of the pyramids. If you go back in the graves, we have found hard evidence in the graves that the Egyptians were African. Let me listen to the anthropologists, all the great anthropologists. Because this is hidden, this doesn't come out in history books.
I am a black Egyptian. My father is much darker than I am. My mother is lighter than I am. In Egypt, people are identified by the religion first, not the race. So in Egypt, if you are Christian, you are a minority person. But if you're black, you're not a minority person. You are a part of the mainstream society. And I came from this background. And in Egypt, you identify as Arab and as Muslim. And in this country, when I first came, I identified myself as Arab American and Muslim first. And gradually, I became to identify myself as black. I came to the U.S. in 1978. And I became U.S. citizen.
Your Majesties, you heard that. Egypt is no longer Egyptian. Those who are there today are not the ones. It's not their ancestors that built those pyramids. And that is why they don't value the treasures of Egypt. They've plundered Egypt to whatever you might think about. They don't care. Because sometimes I sit and I'm like, why are they always opening the graves of these people? Why are they always opening? They open and steal treasures from it. Why? Does it mean there's nobody to say, no, don't do this to our people. Don't do this to our ancestors. And later I discover it. Because they are not the one. So there's no emotional connection even to what they do. They don't feel anything wrong with it because it's not their ancestors. Egypt is no longer the same. It's not the Egyptian that you know. It's not the Egyptians that you know. Now, what they initially did was to create an enmity between the melanated people and the Egyptians. so as to push back the Egyptians and then take over. Remember their tactics, right? The reptilians, the matrix, those who control the world, they are same people. Remember what they do? They divide, they cause chaos, and they thrive in the chaos that they cause. It's when you are killing yourself that they are growing and planning on how to come and finish all of you. There's a whole story, there's a whole thing behind this whole story of the Egyptians sold Israelites. Egyptians sold Israelites. They've succeeded in creating that enmity, and that's where they succeeded in stealing more. And then, of course, there's a lot of things they did in Egypt that they did. They were successful because they create an enmity already. Those who were the real Egyptians have a story. Now, when you say Egyptians sold Israelites and Pharaoh, whatever, and then the Almighty did what? Cast Pharaoh and his chariot in the sea, all those stories that was written in the Bible, and the successful caused the enmity between us and the Egyptians, and all the time we pray and say, any Egyptian in your life will die by fire, die by fire, die by fire. We do that every day. Now, which of the Egyptian? Because the originals of that land have become the minority, and some other people took over. Of course, those who are not your brother, who are not your sister, who don't even care about what your ancestors did, you think they will come and sit and smile with you? They will oppress you. I don't know if you're seeing the whole mind games in these whole stories. I don't know. Now, knowledge of self is the most powerful thing that you could ever acquire as a person, as a melanated being. Knowledge of self. Know yourself and know what you believe in. This is what the forces around us are trying every day to, to stop. They don't want us to know ourselves. They don't want us to know the abilities that we have the strength that we have, the powers that we possess. And so by day we keep believing in things that we shouldn't even believe in the first place. Things that will not even help us to discover ourselves, to awaken our minds and our hearts. Your Majesties. Now, Britain have refused to return what was stolen from Egypt. They plunder Egypt to the latter. Like I said, all those who invaded came, took away and went away, took and went. But the Arab decided to say, we don't want to take and go, we want to remain. Britain refused. Something that is not your own, like I said in the other video. Our so-called idols, they call it idols. Our so-called idols are sleeping and resting under AC with bodyguards around. Does that sound okay to you, Your Majesties? What they said is not good. They took it. Why not go and destroy it? They went and put it under AC. Until now, a lot of you don't even see the whole thing these people are doing. I don't know when we're going to see and discover. I just felt like showing this to you, and you leave your comment and thought there at the section, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others, stay safe, stay positive, always, Your Majesties. Bye for now.